Hi, my name is Marie, and I have a meningioma in my brain. I've had a craniotomy, but I want to backtrack a little bit. You may be finding this video because you've just found out that you have a meningioma and you're scared, because having someone tell you that you have a brain tumor is very scary. And a meningioma, just to kind of lay the groundwork and tell you what it is first, is usually a benign tumor that forms in the meninges on the outer layer of your brain. The meninges is kind of the film around the outside of your brain. And sometimes tumors form in this area, and they're usually on the outer edges of your brain. Mine is in the occipital lobe, which is where your vision center is. I had no symptoms with my meningioma whatsoever. And so that allowed it to grow for quite a long time, probably. We don't know for sure. The way that we discovered mine was I was on a dog walk. I'm a full-time pet care provider. I do dog walks and house sitting full-time. And this is Dick Hader. He's a lovely Frenchie who likes to have a lot of attention, so he's probably going to join us for a good portion of this video. But I was walking my dog, and I tripped and fell on the concrete, and I landed so hard and so fast on my face that I thought that I broke my nose. So I went to the ER, and I went for head scans and face scans to see if I had any broken bones. Luckily, I didn't. But when they did the head scans, they found a mass in my brain. And so they had me do an MRI with and without contrast so that they could get a better look at the tumor in my brain. They kept me overnight because the tumor that I had was very large. They have different size categories. I think they're small, medium, large, and giant. Mine was giant. It was 5 centimeters by 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. So it's very large. And they were certain that a tumor that large would have to be giving me symptoms, and I probably just wasn't aware of them. So they kept me in the ICU overnight, and they monitored me. They woke me up every 15 minutes, asking me what they were drawing on papers and doing neurological exams. And I really wasn't having any symptoms. I didn't have any dizziness. I wasn't having any headaches. I was able to walk dogs every day. This happened end of October last year. It was still warm. I was able to walk in the heat of the day. I really wasn't having any outward symptoms. The reason that we opted to do a surgery was because of the size of it and its location. It was, if it grew any more, it could make me go blind because it was in my vision center. And I love being outside. I didn't want to go blind. They were also concerned that it might start giving me seizures, which I hadn't had. I still haven't had a single seizure. We opted to have a craniotomy to remove it. The goal was to remove all of it. They did an embolization process the day before my craniotomy, where they embolized the veins that were leading to the tumor to try and reduce the blood flow to help the surgeon the next day be able to have a cleaner field to operate in and have less blood loss. The embolization procedure was about 25% effective, and the craniotomy was able to remove about 50% of the tumor. It was an 8-hour surgery. Going into anesthesia was very easy. Since then, I spent a week in the hospital for the craniotomy. My recovery time was more involved than I expected. The doctor did not tell me, well, he didn't know. He had no idea. Everybody's different. So, what my symptoms were after the surgery may not be what your symptoms are. But for me, based on my surgery and the location of my tumor and the angle that they had to cut, which is going to be different for every person, the deficits that I had post-surgery were my vision. My vision was really messed up initially. I had very poor vision. It was very blurry. It was very distorted. I had trouble navigating outside. I couldn't drive. And the other thing was my fine motor skills were greatly affected. I was knocking things over. I couldn't hold things, like I couldn't grasp things correctly. would drop things, I would knock things over. I was so messy. I was making so many messes. And from an emotional standpoint, after the surgery, I had friends and family that wanted to visit me, and I didn't feel like myself, and I didn't feel that great, so I didn't really want company. After the surgery, I had headaches for the first week or two, but they were never terrible. They gave me pain meds when they sent me home, and I also took extra strength Tylenol on doctor's orders. You should take whatever your doctor recommends for you, but that worked for me. And after the second week, I didn't need any pain meds at all because the pain really wasn't bad. They also gave me some steroids while I was in the hospital, and those made me break out. I broke out in a rash across my chest. I did not like the steroids at all. And I also noticed that right after the surgery, nothing tasted good. Everything was off. And so I did lose a little bit of weight initially. But then when you're home resting for 4 weeks and food starts to taste good again, the weight that I lost came right back. The hardest part was being at home and not knowing if I was ever going to be myself again. After 4 weeks, my doctor told me that I was probably as good as I was going to be and that I should file disability papers. And I was devastated because I love what I do. As you can see, I'm back to doing it, so he was wrong. And I started getting better the week after I had my follow-up visit with my neurosurgeon. I started being able to see better, my motor skills came back, and now it's been right at 3 months. It's been right at 3 months since the surgery, and I feel as good as I ever did. The things that have not completely healed yet are my scalp. There are sections of my scalp that are still a little scabby up here where they did the bulk of the surgery. The surgery was back here. You can't really tell from my hair because they left it long on the top and the sides, and they left enough of it on the top here that it covers where they shaved my head. And now that it's been 3 months, the part that they've shaved is growing back. So a bob cut, if you're a woman, is a great cut depending on where they have to cut. You know, if they have to cut the top of your head, I don't know what hairstyle you could do that would work for that. But for me, if they're working on the back of your head, a bob cut can cover a lot of shaved areas. But my recovery has been very good. I'm able to walk every day now. I can cook for myself, I can clean for myself, I can drive again. My vision's completely back to normal. My motor skills are back to normal. And I feel good. I'm glad that I had the surgery. The next phase of my treatment is radiation, and I'm currently undergoing that. I'm making separate videos about what radiation is like, and I'll probably make a separate video of what the craniotomy was like. This one is just what it's like to have a meningioma. So if you're like me, I had no symptoms. I had no symptoms before the surgery, and the meningioma that remains I don't really have any symptoms now. My vision is I feel like I did before I knew I had a problem. I do know that my peripheral vision has been affected slightly, but it's not enough for me to notice, and I wouldn't know it if I hadn't gone to an ophthalmologist and had a fancy test done. We caught it early enough that it didn't cause deficits, as far as we can tell. And so we're just working on trying to get it out of my head, but I feel good. My energy level's good. My outlook has returned to being good. It wasn't good right after the surgery. I had a few dark weeks after the surgery. I had a lot of friends and a lot of family support me. I had neighbors come in and take care of my dogs every morning and every evening before they went to work and when they got home. I had friends come by with food. I had one friend come and stay with me for a couple of weeks and take care of things for me. I'm really lucky because I have a robust support system. I think this would be a very hard thing to do alone. And even though my kids live in other states and they weren't able to come help me, it doesn't have to be kids or family. really none of the people that showed up for me were kids or family. They were just good friends and local neighbors. So if you're faced with this, don't be afraid. It won't do any good for you. It won't heal you. It won't make you feel any better. But learn what you can and do what you can and enjoy what you have. Because my outcome could have been much worse. I'm turning 60 this year in another month. And my friends are like, you seem to be fine with turning 60. It's like, I'm glad to be alive. I could have been a vegetable, but I'm grateful that I'm healthy, that I've been able to return to work that I love, and to a life that I love, and to friends that I cherish. So turning 60 is just a blessing and a privilege. So I hope this finds somebody that needs it. I hope it encourages you and gives you inspiration. Hang in there. You'll have days where you're scared, and that's okay. Just don't let them become all the days. And I hope you get through this easily and that your health is restored. And I'll talk to you next time.